And welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Victoria 3, as what was once the Great Qing and now China. We're gonna keep expanding. We're gonna keep improving the economy. We got 20-something years left here. Oh yes, what I was thinking about was make sure that we're doing privatization on everything. Does appear to be the case. Okay, let's unpause, let some time pass. We'll let the infamy burn down a little bit. Nope, another colonial conflict. What I was about to say is let the infamy burn down a little bit and then we'll invade Korea. Apparently we're going to be tied up in Africa for a bit. Public dress goes awry. Oh no! I say slightly sarcastically. Oh, why doesn't aging... Oh, I suppose, we have let the unemployment in some places, I think, get a bit high. Well, the radicals are a bit high. Yeah, unemployment feels like it's up. Gainful employment's up, but unemployment's also up. And obviously there's a lot of people that got pissed off from, you know, ending the monarchy. Okay. What's that about? Language in the classroom. We'll go with this one. Pisses off IGs. There we go. There's protected speech. In the meantime, with protected speech, let's move from National Guard to guaranteed liberties. This increases loyalists and radicals. We do lose the condition impact modifiers, which are pretty strong. There's nitrogen fixation, so we can go turn that on for all the farms. And then we'll go also turn on nitrogen fixation fertilizer plant, because I think we got the oil. And if we don't, we can make more oil. Yeah, made a jump in the oil, that's fine. Disincentivize us to make more oil in the future. Same sort of logic with plastics. Allows us to do more with oil. Which right now we're actually a bit rich in oil. Especially if you include the fact that we now own Persia. Do I invade Korea? I think the answer is yes. Now, it shouldn't be... It should be like a 0% chance that they accept. 12%. It's actually higher than I was expecting, but it's not happening. It's basically where that is. Or the other alternative is I can do invasion of the 3 little states up here. Although I think Korea is going to be more rewarding because there's more people in Korea, right? So we got like 30 million in Burma. So like, I don't know, 30 million GDP. 6 million people. 5 million people. Some 5.5 million people. Although here it's 20 million. So yeah, let's annex the 20 million first. Cry for freedom. A protest advocating for guaranteed liberties law was called in order to silence the detractors. However, the police force decided to take the law into their own hands and violently repress the protesters. Ah, the irony of the situation. A protest against the current laws that fail to protect the citizens from the corrupt police is shut down by said police. And trouble with the feeling of indignation while I write this article. The police are capable of this now. What else will they do in the future? We need the law to protect us. The police will have to publicly apologize for this. Oh, Russia has come out of the woodworks to back them. Okay. Oh, that might not be a good thing for Russia. It's a good thing I noticed, however. There's a nice, very valuable Baku there. The Russians have accidentally potentially served up as a target I can take. If I can find it in the list. You want to have a claim? Do not have an active declared interest in the region. Oh, the humanity. Okay, we'll have to see if the interest pops up. Probably won't. And even if it does, it probably doesn't apply at this point. Okay. Let's see if I can now demand the Baku. I can, and it's only 5.2 infamy. Yeah, I'll be taking Baku then. Baku, it might not have it yet. It doesn't have it yet. Is one of the places Russia can find oil, and not find a little bit of oil. Oh no, find a lot of oil. I believe this is one of the places that has like 100 deposit oil. So a lot of oil there. And then I'll probably try to take Merv and Turkmeni. Do that without going over 250. Give it a little bit of time and we might still do Merv. Okay, this is not good timing, but I suppose they didn't get to pick that timing either. Although it does say something about the current war, which is... Okay. We're not swinging you that way. Okay, it's gonna be a little close, but I'm gonna go and grab Merv as well. Bunker. Merv. Took us 26, which is not quite ideal. And then another thing we'll do is I am probably rich enough we can pay for the fancy stuff, the mobilizing. Not so sure about meat and wine, but we're definitely down for groceries. We'll do sugar, tobacco, liquor, opium, all the armies. Okay. So, we defeat Russia, take some stuff. We defeat Korea, take Korea, obviously. Infamy should decline relatively quickly. And yeah, we're technically in a war. I didn't ask for anything in the war with France. Was anything asked of us? Okay, so I could technically, when the time comes, we could just sort of give up on the British, if that takes too long. Well, it's a matter of security. The proposal to pass guaranteed liberties law, members of the government have voiced their concerns about it compromising the nation's internal security. Are we supposed to prevent reactionary attacks and schemes if we have no way to access public information? How are we going to keep our people safe? The only thing we're offering them is the false sense of security. We'll switch to other, less intrusive methods. Information secured. Yep, I think we build out our oil fields next. Domestic oil, please. Sort by unemployment up. Because ideally we would like to employ our unemployed. Yeah, both guaranteed liberties and protected speech. I think we're actually getting better tech spread as well, which should help us keep up to date. Conveyors, which is something we don't really need. Although, maybe with, especially with the Russian oil, once we have Baku, we discover all the oil in there. We'll have more oil to play with, I suppose. Maybe we'll be able to run conveyor belts this run. Although, my unemployment, that's questionable. Okay, we occupy some of Korea, so given enough time, Korea will surrender. We only control two of the objectives, actually. No, I only asked for 2 places. Don't control Baku yet, so we only control half of our objectives in Russia. Okay. Queue up some of that. That'll get us our bureaucracy back as that builds out. As well as a little bit more taxes. We're up at 2 billion GDP. We'll see if we actually stay up above 2 billion at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if the GDP drops a little bit post-war, because we are, in theory, I suppose, raising the GDP-C by buying all those military goods. Okay, we occupy all the war goals with Russia, so we should be able to take a pretty clean sweep of all our objectives here. Merv, Baku, and Korea. Yeah, that was weird. So, when our guys took Baku, it split and made a third front, but didn't deploy anyone to the third front. So, Baku didn't hold for very long under those circumstances, you might imagine. Oh, I forget. Do the trade unions support migration controls over closed borders? Yes. Okay. So I won't be able to go full free, no border control. But we have multiculturalism, so that shouldn't be a problem. We'll probably do that as soon as we get stamped out monarchism cleared. Hasn't been 5 years yet. Yeah, looks like Korea should be willing to surrender pretty soon. There's guaranteed liberties. So what's my preferred laws? That's probably the preferred one, unless we're gonna go Council Republic, which we're not quite ready for. Universal suffrage, multiculturalism. Could potentially try for total separation. That's probably preferred over state atheism. Total separation is. Proportional taxation is probably fine. We'd actually get more revenue under graduated. But proportional is probably fine. Commercial, colonial. It's fine. This would actually increase the workforce ratio, which we really don't need, although we could do it. And if we find that we are getting people employed, that is what we want to do. Probably don't want poor laws. Although maybe I do because of the political strength from receiving welfare, because of the building wage target rate. So we don't really care about political strength from receiving welfare. But wage target is annoying, and it's the highest in old age pensions. Old age pensions for that building wage target was probably the best of the set, but this is bonus or penalty to what is an acceptable wage for a building, higher average wages. Although I suppose this is 30% welfare payment, so we don't necessarily need to crank that to 5. And this lowers workforce ratio, which in the short run when we have unemployment is not a problem. But yeah, we might do some welfare. Oh, I suppose we could swap over to right to associate to power up the trade union some more. Submarine. So what do we got in the queue right now? Plastics into arc welding, or electric arc process, which is actually going to be more iron, or more steel. And decompression ignition, okay. What I might do is, we're about to have Baku. Baku is going to be... apparently the Russians haven't discovered any oil at Baku. So we'll pick up pneumatic tools earlier for the resource discovery chance. Because we're going to want to discover that oil reasonably. Yeah, so it looks like Korea is going to surrender pretty soon. The question is, can we secure Baku itself from the Russians? Wait, the communists are not happy even though communists run the government. Because of course the communists are not happy from the communists running the government. Because there's too many concessions on too many things they don't like. Fair enough. Okay, so I need to give them something to appease them. Calm down for the moment. Probably move to total separation, if we don't have too many grumpy parties revolving around that. Put some political concessions on that to reduce the soul chance. I'm not too worried about reducing the soul chance from the scholar officials. There's political agitation, so more authority, more political strength per vote, so we need to make all the voting power more powerful. Another agitator, standard of living from literacy, which isn't really a problem. Although, we are basically at the point where because of our high literacy, we can't raise the taxes safely anymore. Okay, so Korea's been annexed. Russians are not quite willing to hand over Baku yet, although it won't be long. Okay, there's plastics. I think we're gonna at least wait until the war's over, and we'll fix the economy once we've got the ability to account for the newly acquired states. I think that'll be like a week. We can do the negotiation here. There we go. Annexation, Baku, and Merv. So Baku doesn't have any oil yet. Oh, but that is only a yet. Yeah, we want all the wood there. Probably want all the lead there. Obviously sawmills. And we'll need power there. We only need like 2 power plants. 2 power plants is probably more than enough. Merv. We want the logging camp and the iron mine. Doesn't even have an urban center, so just give it 1 power plant. Korea is going to be a little bit more complicated. Going to want all the wood there. It apparently has power. Although we just queued up another 11 levels of power, so give me a couple things of power. Okay. Let's just go through the PMs one by one, just activate the ones we think should be on. We'll deal with the problems after the fact. Okay. So it looks like Korea had power. It's good to see. Turn that on, and we might be kicking ourselves later for that, but we'll turn that on. Okay. So we go through one location by location, and then we're going to have to deal with some problems as we get to them. Radios. Should have actually turned that on earlier. I forgot about it. Okay. Okay, so that's all the PM swapped over. Cycle a week and we'll see what the situation is as far as power shortages. The moving picture. Pushat saying, more opium, my emperor. WTF, there's whaling in this game? I had no idea. Yeah, there is whaling in this game. In particular, because whaling was back before oil production. whaling provided kerosene, or kerosene alternative, whale oil for lamps. So old lamp oil was whale oil. So there's whaling in the game. It's basically an early game source of oil before sort of modern oil production comes online. But they have whaling stations. They're all over the place, mostly in the northern and southern hemispheres, I believe. Let's see if I can get the heat map for oil so I can show where the whaling is. Trying to think about how I can show that. Used to be a way to show that pretty easily. Let's not show that. Okay. Local prices. Can I go through the local price method there? I'm trying to remember how I used to go look for oil. Oh, there might not be a way to look for that anymore. Yeah, there used to be a way that you could see the potential. Yeah, lots of industry in Victoria 3 here. Lots of buildings as well. I don't see a good way to see the potential heat map anymore. There used to be a way to. It's particularly useful for things that you don't necessarily have, or when you're trying to think about where you're going to invade, right? Easy to see where you can build stuff if you build it in your country. Okay, let me think about what I was left off on. Oh yeah, needed to check up on power. Yeah, I wasn't able to figure out what I was trying to find, but it might be that they've just, because they changed the UI when the addition of the global market, so it might not be where I think it is. So we're thinking about places we got shortages. So we got a lot of power that needs here. Let's actually queue up another bunch of power to meet that power requirement, bunch of power to meet the power requirement there. This will help also in places like Korea, where we just took over, where Korea wasn't able to build enough of its own power. So now we can build it with Chinese industry. Okay, that looks good enough. At least from the power sectors. Pause, let some time pass. Dangerous business. We'll go with whaling precautions. Gotta keep our people safe while they go out whaling. And we're technically not at peace, we're still at war with France and co. Could just pull out of this war. It's nothing, I won't get penalized if I pull out early. Yeah, it's basically just France and subjects. France and Austrian subjects. So I'm not super incentivized to actually do anything about that war, other than maybe get it done early so we can get to... invading other people. Also, position is progressing. Cool. Up to 2 billion. Hopefully we'll find the oil in Baku soon. Not that we actually need the oil, I think. Oil price is up, but it's not like catastrophically up. It's not as bad as rubber. We're also building a bunch of oil. So, we'll see how our oil... Well, building the Persian oil at this point. We'll see how the oil price handles the introduction of Persian oil. The game is definitely chugging along here in the 1916s. My computer is not the best. I think it's about the standard standard settings for what was recommended for Humankind when Humankind came out. It's not phenomenal from a system standpoint. So it's maybe not surprising. It chugs in some of the more complex bits of Victoria 3. Plays the game reasonably well, but that's about it. Or, plus one streaming it, of course. Because it makes the encoder work quite a bit. Of course, this notification spam doesn't help the game. Specifically notice it chugs a lot when there's a bunch of notification spam up. We're now in 4 wars. Of course, I can't keep my subjects peaceful. So we got that colonial war down there. Some of the armies from the Russian front down to in the wars with our subjects. So that's one of them. What's the other one? Oh, that might have been the other one. That would explain why it hadn't gotten enough control, because it was not did not involve the French. Due to the struggles of high literacy, our lower class are actually a little bit grumpy, given their expectations for the standard of living. Does lowering taxes lower the standard of living more? It does. Although that would make the deficit worse, which is maybe a little bit concerning. Already running 2 million deficit. Odds. Okay, so that's the oil. So we'll see, what is the oil price adjusted down to? 36%. So we could definitely do with more oil. So we're definitely hoping that we get lucky with the discovery of oil in Baku. Pneumatic tools will help with that. They'll increase the resource discovery chance. And I think there's like 100 deposit of oil in Baku that hasn't been discovered yet, so we definitely appreciate some more discovery. Oh, that's where all my money's going. I'm just subsidizing things up the wazoo. Yeah, we should probably just stop subsidizing the glass makers that hard. Next big one is rails, although paper is pretty up there. Take the subsidy off of paper. Here's dual separation. Rails, steel mills. Okay, let's take the subsidy off the steel mills. Cosmopolitan, complete. Okay. Okay, so now we're running a surplus just because I reduced a bunch of the subsidies. Plus, we're probably having more of the private queue pick up the construction queue for the moment. And we're down to 2.3 million. It's mostly railways and such. Probably end the subsidies on explosives as well. Yeah, we'll dumpster the Liberal Party a bit more. Oh, and our authority went down, so we'll cut some taxes. Okay, how do I want to wage war in the French-England war? You need return to Tangiers, transfer to Tahiti, transfer Morocco, return Oran. Of course, I don't get anything out of this. I'm just going to capitulate. Join them in the war. The war is over. After liberalism, pressing issues. Best arguments belong to the Communist Party. So this would overwrite pacifism, either replace it with reformer or radical. Run parliamentary republic, universal suffrage, with protected guaranteed liberties, public schools, would potentially allow us to try to move towards right to associate fairly easily. Although you're not even in government right now, so this is a bit of a move. This is yeah, let's just make a reformer. The thought, the world, and the idea. Let's grab the university throughput. And then that's the new Colossus that's popped up. Ideally, he wants us to get to no migration controls. May be a little bit hard because people are... Well, actually, some people are supporting it. Sourcing groups in government... I did not realize the industrialists were in the government. You know, let's try for no migration controls. See if I can try to negotiate the opposition down. Bourgeoisie and the rural folk. Okay. give you some political concessions. They are opposed and probably not coming around. Yeah, they're too powerful and they oppose it more than 2 steps. Yeah, I don't think this one's going to pass. Attempt to political concessions it into something that might be possible. I'm actually somewhat surprised the main government party, or the trade unionists, aren't opposed, seeing as they're in government. Although they're on the same... Their preference for it is for migration controls, or not migration control, enclosed and no migration are the same. Right, so that's why they're not complaining. So the annoying thing is they're just not willing to negotiate. Okay. Oh, everyone's just beating up on the British. Tooling workshops are up, so I should take the subsidies off of them as well. So basically take the subsidies off of things that take it off most things. Aren't sort of government goods. Or aren't in short supply in the case of the rubber. The rubber plantation probably isn't being really subsidized. Okay. So, liberate Florida, liberate Georgia, liberate the Carolinas. And America's like, I want to conquer a bunch of things. Including Idaho. What could I get from here? Nationalization. That only gets us 1 level. That's not worth doing. Wait. I'm not allowed to ask for any territory? That's not nice. Ask for a transfer of state. Get Ecuador Indian Territory. Ecuador, of course, would require landing Ecuador. Or marching to Washington, D.C. We do have a land border in the case of Canada, so that isn't too unplausible. What? I want Ecuador. I'm going to come actually help this war. We're going to go take Ecuador. Oh, we actually succeed, and no migrations advance to study. 1 in 4 chance it does that, but it was a 1.5 chance it stalls, so got lucky. We'll see if that luck continues. Let's turn on electric arc, and then I will deal with the consequences of needing more power. So we need... what? I think it's actually a base of 50. So 10 is 500. Need 500 more power plants there because of all the steel that's probably there. Really. Power plant, non. Was 50 levels of steel, and each one is 500 levels of steel. Yeah. In fact, they're building more steel plants there, so yeah. It is that outrageous. Have a construction request. Fair enough. Oh, and the reactionaries are bopping. So it depends on how quickly you can pass no migration controls. If no migration controls stalls for too long, that we're gonna have to back up to the reactionaries. Of course, I think by kicking the industrialists out, which is what we just did, we just killed the pass. Yeah, no migration controls has failed. Let's instead try for migration controls. A lot less opposition to that. And nativist labor regulations. Lowers the migration attraction. And raises the... or lowers the wage. Okay, sure. Yeah, radicals is a little uncomfortably high. More propaganda. Not necessarily going to help with the problems we have. The last monarchists. There's no harm in nostalgia. Or... we can lose scholar gentry, monarchy, landed voting, appointed bureaucrats, local pleas. In exchange gain elitist. Local pleas, hereditary bureaucrats. Landed... I think that's basically the same. Autocracy. No. They technically provide oligarchy instead of autocracy. And it's monarchy for president ruling theocracy. Okay. We're going to let them keep their... in our case, where we have scholar gentry, right? So we could let them keep scholar gentry if we wanted to. Yeah, let's be neutral to whatever our current government is anyway. So I suppose we can just say there's no harm in nostalgia here. A century of triumph. A period of diligent modernization and centralization efforts has finally put an end to the risk of petty warlordism shattering the state. Despite the efforts of enemies internal and external, China stands unbowed and unified. At the edge of the horizon, lit by a setting sun, we are the last of foreign ships. Their colors flew at half-mast, a sure sign they had fled with their tails between their legs. Against them at sea was a Chinese flag flying high on Chinese soil. The message for the world was clear. China's mandate remains in its own hands. Its people alone will drive its future. So, a century of triumph. Gain legitimacy, decree cost, and 10% more population become loyalist. Or we can do engineer our people last us even further. We're gonna go with this one. Currently exporting enough opium. Get the achievement about exporting opium. Exporting that opium. Now we have the fascist movement popping up. They don't like universal suffrage. They don't like that tradition of free elections. Don't like multiculturalism. Don't like the political concessions on the multiculturalism. Don't like protected speech. Well, that's declining. Support number of claims. Apparently have claims on stuff. And we haven't taken. Do I actually? Oh, it has to do with the colonial stuff. It's all the split states out in the colonies. That's what's going on. So they're not liking the split states. That's where that's coming from. Trying to see. There's a return state. Yeah. So there's. I suppose that might be the only one. Might exactly have one unclaimed state, and that's making them grumpy. If that's the case, there's a 48% chance they just accept because I am strong. We shall poke that bear. They accepted. Did that calm the fascists down? Yes, that calmed them down a little bit. More radios, or share the radio tech. More radios. Yeah, unemployment is definitely up. Although I don't think our employment has ever really declined significantly. Dramatic tools, that should help us with finding more resources. Apparently oversupplying silk. Actually, we should drop the export tariffs on silk, so that people buy good old Chinese silk. Oil. Progress is best tempered with caution. So that was more oil being discovered, I think. There's one more oil well somewhere. None in Baku yet. How goes the war in America? Okay, it's a long march to Washington from there, but progress is being made. California has fallen. We'll use it to calm the masses. Embargo Russia? Sure. Again, we'll take the one that gets us loyalists. If we get ourselves out of debt, I will probably drop the taxes. Oh, the alternative would be to do some sort of wage subsidy as a way to drive some demand. Consumer goods demand. So I think what's going on is we've got a lot of pops that are particularly high standard of living because of the unemployment. Like, if you compare unemployment to the employed, yeah, that's pretty bad for nowadays, but it's not actually all that bad in that time period. Plastic production. Nice there, and shared it with other people. It's working on compression ignition, which will allow us to spend oil to get more minerals. And it'll probably be mostly how we use it, as well as mass production for the automobiles. Society. What do I want in the society tree now that we're thinking about what goes after compression ignition? Philosophy. Mass surveillance is spreading to us. Interesting. I think it was mass propaganda, but it wasn't. Get the last healthcare one. Pick up the last company. Get the minting. Get the paved roads to mitigate the infrastructure requirements. Mass surveillance is going to come to us whether we want it or not. We want behaviorism. Yeah. Not too much. So we'll let the rest spread to us. Society. Yeah, I'm going to finish passing migration controls here, and then we're going to go ahead and put a part break in, and probably bring the stream to a close. We are going to be streaming this again, to finish off the run. We've got, because we're going to play to the end date, right? So we're going to play to 1936. So we've got a little under 18 years to go, before the game is finally complete. We're getting pretty close to it. It's not that far off in the future. Yeah. Our economy is relatively stable. I cut a bunch of the subsidies, which is one of the reasons I think the standard of living's down and radicals are up. Although if we can get the standard of living up, I think the radicals will start to calm down quite a bit. And that's quite plausible to do. I think the big thing we need to do is I need to finally bite the bullet and we need to do some Social Security. We'll probably do old age pensions. I don't think this is going to be a run where I can find enough jobs reliably for everyone. We're running old age pensions and say, because we always go women's suffrage, right, to get more people back. So we run the old age pensions. Old age pensions also have on it, as a drawback, it has negative workforce ratio, right? But in the case of right now where we have too many people, that's fine. But it has dependent income. So that is money from the void, which helps boost the boost demand for consumer goods, right? That's kind of what we need to do. I think we need to boost consumer good demand, right? Fabric's down, although that's because we're providing clothing. Clothing's down, paper's down, furniture's down, right? If we can get demand for all that stuff to go up, and then we'll have a much healthier economy. Yeah, I think it's at the point where we just start redistributing wealth away from the government, and or let the private consumption, or private queue handle more of the construction. But yeah, I think the run is going well. We're up at 2.5 billion where we end today's stream. If you're watching on YouTube, there probably will be a part up tomorrow. If you're watching on Twitch, let me go over the schedule for the next couple days. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube at this point, this will be what was recorded over the last couple days. But today was Victoria 3. Tomorrow will be Humankind. I suspect we're going to finish Humankind tomorrow. Saturday will be Songs of 6. Because we did in fact finish Shadow Empire. In fact, we started Songs of 6 last time. In that time slot, but it will be Songs of 6 on Saturday. Sunday will be Whiskerwood. I suspect Sunday may be the last stream of Whiskerwood. If it does 4 days after that, will be probably when we replace it with Subnautica Sub-Zero. Monday is going to be Victoria 3. We're probably going to finish up Victoria 3, and depending upon where we get that day, we may possibly start up Terra Invicta. If we get it done in like 2 parts, we'll probably start up Terra Invicta. If we get it done in 3 parts, we might start up Terra Invicta. We'll see how I'm feeling that day and how busy that Monday is. I want to record at least 3 parts that day, let's say. So if we get it done in 2, we'll do Terra Invicta. If we get it done in 3, I'll question when we're doing Terra Invicta on Monday. Tuesday, assuming we finish Humankind, which that's probably going to be the case. Tuesday we'll start up a run of Darkest Dungeon. Then Wednesday will be Songs of 6. So that's the upcoming schedule for the next 6 days. If you're watching this on YouTube, this should be the part that goes live 6 days from now. So all of that, except for that second Songs of 6 day, should be in your past. So if you can't wait to watch it live or watch it on YouTube, you can always sneak over to Twitch, and the VODs on Twitch do stay up for 14 days after they are streamed live. I do stream my recording sessions to Twitch live, and the username Wilcol. The Twitch stream should be 1080p at 60 frames per second, but it is set up to be throttled in video quality to maintain 60 frames per second. So it may, in fact, not be 1080p on Twitch, depending on the local internet. Conversely, YouTube should be reliably getting that 1080p and 60 frames per second. But as a side effect is probably not having it... Well, obviously, I'm having to upload it later. It's not being live streamed. And then on YouTube, I try to upload 1 part from each of the 4 games we're playing, such that I have basically a 4-part, 4-game, 4-day schedule. So YouTube should have something for each series going up every day of about an hour long. It depends upon what we're playing. Things where I think I can make a reasonable 30 to 40 minute video, I do. But longer games like Victoria 3 here, that are... I like to have long periods of time for, we'll end up doing an hour. As I'm saying this, we're an hour and 13 minutes into a stream, or into a part in a stream that is coming up in 5 hours. So the stream has been going on. This is where we're going to go and bring the stream to a close. Feel free to leave comments. I'll try to respond to them. If you're watching live on Twitch and you want a comment responded to, now is a good time to leave it. I'm going to go ahead and leave the stream for a minute or 2 after I finish the outro to the YouTube video here. If you're watching on Twitch, when the video or when the stream is no longer live, or on YouTube, YouTube is a good place for handling asynchronous commenting. So if you want to get a comment responded to, hop over to YouTube and leave comments over there if the stream is no longer live. With that, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part and/or stream, and bye for now.